Fellow Orangemen, fellow apprentice boys, fellow unionists and fellow loyalists, welcome to Markethill. Thanks for braving the weather here. We're just going to go straight in it here. District Master of Lurgan here, Davy Martin, is going to say a few words, okay?
Well, we're delighted to be here on the streets of Markethill tonight. And we had a visitor yesterday from a foreign country who said that no one cares about the protocol. Well, the message from Markethill tonight is there are thousands who care and are going to do something about it. I am the District Master of Lurgan District, LOL number 6. And I'm here tonight with the blessing of my district. I'm here tonight with the blessing of the county officers of County Armagh, and I know I'm here tonight with a blessing from Markethill District Orange as well. And I'm delighted and proud to be here and to have a few words to say this evening. But before we start, the organisers have asked me, and I'm very delighted to do this, as we'd like to start our evening just in a very short word of prayer. So let us pray. Our God and our Father in heaven, as we stand upon the streets of Markethill tonight, under the canopy of heaven, we humbly and reverently call upon Thee to bless this, our gathering. Thou, God, knowest that the enemy has come in like a flood, but we pray tonight that Thou would give us grace to raise a banner against those who seek to overthrow us. We ask of Thee, dear God, tonight, that as Thou delivered, helped and blessed our forefathers, that Thou, God, would indeed help, bless and deliver us from the imminent dangers. Be to us our help in ages past, our hope in years to come. Enable us by Thy grace to stand for Thee. Give us help to overcome, and by Thy almighty omnipotent hand deliver us from evil, and we will glorify Thee. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen. On becoming Brexit Minister at the time, Lord Frost familiarised himself fully with the protocol, and his immediate opinion was, how did we ever agree to this? Roderick Crawford authored a report on the protocol called The Origins of the Current Crisis. This was an authoritative, detailed, chronological assessment of what specifically went wrong in the negotiations, and he concluded that commitments given on the Irish border were, and I quote, a diplomatic triumph for Ireland and the Commission, and a staggering failure on the part of the United Kingdom. What this meant was that the Irish government's interpretation was always fundamental in that negotiations, and that the north-south dimension was no longer to be balanced with an east-west dimension. This was then written into the protocol, and the document itself says it is a protocol on Ireland stroke Northern Ireland, and therefore they agreed for a border in the Irish Sea and listed 18 articles that they agreed. The introduction in the protocol clearly states that the withdrawal from the EU poses a challenge. Who does it pose a challenge to? And it clearly states who. The island of Ireland, and further states that it is necessary to address the unique circumstances where on the island of Ireland. The introduction also gives priority to Irish citizens living in Northern Ireland and states, please hear this, states the protocol must respect their rights, preserve their opportunities and enhance their benefits, and that nothing should dilute their right to full European and Irish citizenship. Nothing about the unionist community, nothing about our Britishness, everything about Ireland and Ireland's people. The next paragraph highlights United Kingdom's commitment to protect what? North-South cooperation and to guarantee no hard border or physical checks or controls were in the island of Ireland. It clearly states that the protocol must be implemented. Why? To maintain the conditions for continued North-South cooperation and must have little or no impact on who? The people of Ireland. It says, mindful that the rights and obligations of Ireland must be fully respected. I could go on, and I will go on. Article 1, paragraph 3 speaks of the island of Ireland and North-South cooperation. Article 3, paragraph 2 says, what? Without affecting the obligations of Ireland. Article 4, United Kingdom shall be prevented from including Northern Ireland in the territorial scope of any agreements. Article 6, paragraph 3, the protocol, we need to hear this, the protocol shall prevent a product originating in Northern Ireland from being presented as originating from the United Kingdom when placed on the market in Great Britain. We're not part of Great Britain anymore. Our products are not allowed to be advertised as being from the United Kingdom in Great Britain. Article 11, paragraph 3, again, North-South preeminence. On and on and on it goes. Article 14, paragraph B, implementation and application of North-South Ministerial Council and implementation bodies. Have I made my point, ladies and gentlemen? Is this protocol not clearly and unequivocally about an all-Ireland settlement, an all-Ireland economy, an all-Ireland state? Preeminence given to North-South structures and bodies, preeminence over all things East-West. Complete erosion of the Northern Ireland constitutional position, the disgraceful situation where the Act of Union has been impliedly appealed to facilitate the sellout and capitulation that is the protocol. A leading economist has calculated that the protocol will take 850 million out of our economy. Yet we have ones telling us it's for our own good. It's a privilege to have the protocol. Those who supported the protocol from day one and wanted its rigorous implementation, today they're rolling back. Well, not rigorous. Why they're rolling back? Because even they can see that the difficulties that the protocol is causing. What difficulties? Increased costs, disruption to our supply chain, reduced choice, political instability, lack of cross-community support, and all this, ladies and gentlemen, all this to satisfy the demands of militant force republicanism and a complete capitulation to the threats of nationalist violence. There are many unacceptable and abominable outworkings of this iniquitous protocol, but the most visible being the imposition of a border in the Irish Sea. The ethos of this unacceptable arrangement lies in the fact that nationalist threats of violence necessitate there can be no land border. So instead, we as Unionists must bear the intolerable burden of a border in the Irish Sea. They talk about protecting the peace. It's only code for protecting nationalist aspirations. Where they insist a north-south border is unacceptable and therefore an east-west border is not necessary. The protocol, like everything else, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 24 years, it is once again designed to appease nationalists, placate Sinn Féin IRA, dismantle the Union, and at present it is nothing more than a bus to drive nationalism all the way to United Ireland. Tonight, here on the streets of Markethill, the grassroots of unionism are gathered, And right across the province of Ulster, we say together, dismantle the protocol. No to an Irish sea border. Yes to the Union. And yes to proper democracy in our beloved Northern Ireland. And I personally call upon all Unionists to unite to oppose the protocol. As our forefathers united to oppose the Home Rule crisis, so too must we unite for the love of Ulster, for the maintaining of the Union. And our bottom line is the protocol must go. No tweaking, no adjusting, no reading. It must go. And there should be no let-up in our protests until we achieve our aims. May God save us from our many enemies. And may God bless his people with righteousness and grace to enable us to stand in this, our land, our home, our beloved province of Ulster. Thank you.
And I'd like to welcome Jim Allister onto the stage. Okay. Thank you very much.
Keep it down, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to scare Simon Coveney, because he thinks there's nobody against the protocol. Well, I'm delighted to be in Markethill tonight, because Markethill has a particular place in the surge of protest against this protocol. Because I have to say that this committee that organised this event and the loyalists locally in Markethill led the way when it came to protests. You were protesting when some unionist politicians were sleepwalking into and it was a delight to see that spark of protest not just begin, but to burn so brightly here tonight in Markethill. The ordinary loyalists and unionists in this province were a long way ahead, shamefully, of far too many politicians in waking up to this protocol. There was a time when you were protesting when our unionist MLAs were voting through 45 EU regulations to bed in the very protocol that we're protesting about. And there was only Jim Wells and I to vote against it. Where were the rest of them? I'll tell you where they were. They were in the lobby with Sinn Féin, with the SDLP, with the Alliance Party. And tragically, unionism continued with many missteps in implementing this protocol, the most obvious of which was the disastrous posts. But I'm glad there now is an awakening, a realization that either we kill the protocol or it kills the union. Because make no mistake about it, this protocol is about removing us from the United Kingdom. What does a customs border mean but that you're moving from one sovereign jurisdiction to another? That you're passing from one territory of control to another. And that, of course, is what the protocol puts upon us. Checks and customs at the Irish Sea border because under this iniquitous protocol, the rest of this kingdom, Great Britain, is regarded as a third country, a foreign country. That is just how shameful this protocol is. And yet I once heard a unionist politician say there were no constitutional implications to customs checks. Sadly, they are the very manifestation of that sovereignty issue. And that's what this protocol is about. By putting us in a foreign single market for goods, under a foreign customs code, a foreign VAT regime, subject to foreign laws and a foreign court, we have been colonised into the EU. It is the EU's writ, not the British writ, that runs in our economy and our trade. And of course that is designed to build an all-Ireland economically. You make it difficult to trade with your biggest partner, GB. You put up barriers, you force business to reorientate north-south, and thereby you build an all-Ireland economy in the belief that it's a short step from an all-Ireland economically to an all-Ireland politically. And that is the evil genius and intent of this protocol. That's why it has the unrelenting support of nationalism and republicanism, because they recognise it, they see it as the vehicle they need to advance an all-Ireland republic.
That's Coveney now.
There's Simon. Coveney's caught up with us.
Keep talking.
But ladies and gentlemen, let's be coming back on. Let's be very, very clear. This protocol is the destruction of that which makes us unionists. This protocol is the very thing that through every check, through every day that the posts operate, our union is being dismantled before our very eyes. And let me say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing as the best of both worlds. Because to enjoy what is misnamed the best of both worlds, you have to be part of the EU single market, and you cannot be part of the EU single market unless you accept EU sovereignty and EU laws. And therefore no one should be deceived into thinking that there's anything like the best of both worlds. That world is the EU's world. The world we want to inhabit is the British world of being part of the United Kingdom. So I totally, utterly, unequivocally refute the suggestion that there is something glibly called the best of both worlds. Yes, some people would need to realise that. But one thing's for sure, the ordinary unionist and loyalist people of this province realise it. And when you come to vote, don't forget it. Because it is critical that on the 5th of May, every unionist comes out to vote. And you vote for those who are anti-protocol and are pro-union. And make your choice and make it well. Because this is one of the last opportunities to stop this protocol. We don't stop this protocol, this union is over. That is the sad reality. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have been with you. I encourage you, as you have encouraged me tonight, to stand firm in the sure and certain knowledge that our cause is right, our cause is just, and let none of us rest until we buried this protocol where it belongs. Thank you very much.
Sorry folks about the police here. We're getting another extension here. I'd like to welcome I'd like to thank Jim first and foremost there for speaking. I'd like to welcome Sammy Wilson here. All this stage now to talk. Thank you.
Happy to be here this evening to see such a good crowd of unionists who I hope are united in defending our country against the incursion and the attempt by the EU to annex us from the rest of the United Kingdom. Let's make something quite clear. I thought this was a unionist rally here tonight. And I stand here as a unionist who unashamedly supported Brexit, who unashamedly opposed the protocol, and who unashamedly will ensure that the fight against it continues. Who appear tonight. I can tell you one thing. The BBC are recording this tonight. And the one thing that the unionist hitting BBC will love to report is that unionists are not united in this fight. That unionists are playing, backbiting, selling goods, and playing politics with us. Can I just say? Can I just say something to you as unionists? As unionists, can I just say something as unionists? Do you really think that the kind of division which some are seeking to display here tonight is going to give any fear to our enemies? It will give succour to our enemies. That's the problem. We're facing an election. We're facing an election. We are facing an election which is going to be a deciding factor in how the UK government and the EU view the future of Northern Ireland. And I can tell you, one of the things that the EU are seeking to do is to wait until after this election to ensure that there's a change in the political landscape in Northern Ireland, which they will exploit. And I would have thought that what unionists should have been doing here tonight is uniting against the protocol, uniting around each other, uniting, and you know, all I can say to you folks, hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I understand a lot of the feeling in this crowd, but it is important that we hear what people have to say, and I do appeal to you to listen to the speeches. You'll get your opportunity at the polls to express yourself tonight it's important that we listen to all unionist voices, because the people who are here are people opposed to the protocol. Let's respect that, and let's hear what Sammy and others has to say.
And I thank you for that, Jim, because we're on the same side. We're on the same side. Jim Allister and I have fought together against the protocol. We have fought against the imposition of the protocol. And let me say to you folks, let me say, we did not implement the protocol. The British government brought the protocol in and implemented it. We are seeking to make sure it is not implemented, because the treatment of Northern Ireland is no different than how Putin is seeking to treat the Ukraine. If our government can stand up for the Ukraine, then my message to them tonight is stand up for the UK, stand up for Northern Ireland, stand up for the people of the country to which you govern. You claim to be a unionist government, then stand up for unionism and stand up for the union. And that's what. And folks, I would not be here tonight if I thought that there was not a determination within my party and from my leader to fight against this protocol and to make sure that it was not successful. And it is not, we're not asking for a tinkering of it, we're asking for a removal of it. Let's make that quite clear. And that is the bottom line. And indeed, we have made it clear that if the protocol is not sorted out, then the Assembly, which is supposed to be the body which takes the protocol through, will not be sitting, because we will not be supporting an Assembly which implements the protocol. We will support an Assembly which is meant to implement the protocol. The danger of the protocol, I know people have look upon the border at the Irish, at the posts of entry into Northern Ireland. They look at the economic damage it causes, but the real damage of the protocol is the fact that EU law will now apply to Northern Ireland. It will apply to Northern Ireland in a way which will separate us from the rest of the United Kingdom, and that's why unionists have to unite, regardless of the opinion, regardless of how you think about how others have performed, what history there is between the different parties, what your prejudices are when it comes to voting. We're all unionists in this, and we're all unionists in this. And if we do not, let me say this, folks, if we do not unite in this battle, then our enemies will be quite happy that we are divided and that we go our separate ways, and that the effect will be that they will win, we will lose. There's an old saying which comes down the ages: united we stand and divided we fall. And if we are not united in this battle, then we will fall. Our enemies will prevail. Sinn Féin will be laughing at us. The EU will get its way. The Irish government will succeed in what it's done. And that's why it is important that for all of us, that at this time, coming up to this election, there are three things that must be done. And the first thing is that the unionist parties themselves and unionist politicians have got to avoid using the constitutional difficulty we're in to settle scores, to backbite, to try and score party political points. We've got to avoid that. At the election, there's a duty on every unionist to come out and make sure that there's a tsunami of unionist votes. And after the election, there's an obligation on those who are elected to make sure that they do not do anything to ensure that the protocol makes any ground in Northern Ireland at all. Those are the things that need to be done. And folks, I am glad I am here tonight.
I have listened to what you've said, but I hope that you will also listen to the message which I have given you, and that is that regardless of how you may feel, regardless of what you may drag out, regardless of the way in which the media may try to divide unionism, that we look for a common cause, we unite behind a common banner, and we do our best to do what needs to be done to defeat the conspiracy which is designed to take us out of the United Kingdom. And if we don't do that, then we will be, and we'll only have ourselves to blame. And I hope that this night in Markethill will not be remembered as a night when unionists divided, but a night when unionists united and made a clear answer to the government from the snowy streets of Markethill. It's snow surrender.
I'd just like to welcome Mayor Holmes on this stage now, okay?
Good evening, folks. I think people are making their feelings very clear this evening. I have to say, what a privilege it is. A privilege to be invited here to speak in Loyalist Markethill. As it has already been mentioned, the privilege is felt even stronger when I consider that it was the Loyalist community of Markethill that bravely and boldly took the first step into public protest at the beginning of last year. You were the spark that ignited the flame, as it were, and you deserve immense credit for that. So please, could you give a round of applause for the organisers and those from Markethill. And looking back since public protest began in Markethill a year ago, there may be some who wish to suggest that the Loyalist Grassroots campaign that has succeeded, it has all been in vain. Let me tell you that if you were tempted to hold such an assumption, you would be mistaken. Think back with me to the beginning of last year, and there has been substantial change, even if it stops short of the protocol's demise for now. At the start of last year, the British Prime Minister and the Northern Ireland Secretary of State were telling us that the Irish sea border did not even exist. They tried to hide it in plain sight. Now look where we are. Rather than Loyalists conceding to the government's position, the British government has moved closer to the Loyalist position, and that is in no small part to the Loyalist activism that has taken place throughout the past year. Even the EU have softened their stance. Their precious protocol, the same protocol that could not be altered, the same protocol that was an international agreement and could not be changed, even they now propose what they believe to be solutions, if you would even call them such a thing, to the protocol. But the fact is that since the protocol came into effect, Loyalist activism, Loyalist grassroots activism has helped manoeuvre the entire political landscape toward opposing the Irish sea border more than what they would have. Even the most ardent of protocol enthusiasts are retreating from their position. The SDLP, the Alliance Party, used to demand the rigorous implementation of the protocol, and now, without a hint of shame or self-awareness, it would seem, they demand solutions to something they previously called the best of both worlds. Ultimately, in the space of a year, everyone seems to be singing a different note on the protocol except the Loyalist community. Since the moment it emerged, Loyalists True loyalists have not wavered in their opposition to the protocol. Local protests, whether they were in Markethill, in Markethill, North Belfast or Newton Ards, have each in their own way contributed to the collective effort that has ultimately driven the anti-protocol agenda to the heart of the British government. And I say this because it should vindicate the actions of our community that they have taken in opposition to the protocol, but it should also motivate. It should motivate us to press on and to continue the fight. And it's fantastic to see so many people here this evening. Rain, hail or storm, if the forces of nature cannot deter the loyalist community, then good luck to the bureaucrats in the European Union. All the more reason, therefore, that we gather here today to once again make our voices heard and demonstrate that in no uncertain terms the Irish Sea border has never and will never have the consent of the Unionist and Loyalist community. Never. And as we gather at a critical moment, with an election on the horizon, with the EU and the UK meeting next week, and with the recent collapse of the Northern Ireland Executive, unionism and loyalism must not blink. Political unionism must remain steadfast and undeterred in its protest, and we must set our stall out and make clear that it is the protocol that is the problem. Political instability in Northern Ireland begins and ends with the protocol. The protocol does not safeguard the peace process, it threatens it. The protocol does not uphold the institutions, it destroys them. The protocol does not protect the peace agreement, it tears it in two. And until the protocol is resolved, until the Irish Sea border is removed, there is no basis for power sharing in Northern Ireland. And let me clarify so there can be no doubt what exactly we refer to when we say the Irish Sea border, for it would be all too convenient for politicians, friend or foe, to hide behind ambiguous language, to conceal the real intentions. So let's speak plainly before us now. The commitment of our community is clear. We will not be under the jackboot of foreign EU law. We will not divide our country and administer foreign EU checks. And we will not be subjected to the judicial authority of a foreign EU court. And if there must be a customs border on this island, then so be it. But put it where it belongs, between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. And let me close with the words of a South Belfast MP, Claire Hanna, who, when asked about a customs border between the two separate jurisdictions on this island, she said, "You cannot expect people, mainly nationalists and Republicans of course, to just choke that down." Yet isn't it revealing that that is exactly what our nationalist politicians expect of unionism when it comes to the protocol? Well, I, for one, am sick and tired of having to choke down concession after concession to appease nationalism. Unionism has had to choke down more than its fair share in the name of this peace process. Unionism has choked down the dismantling of the greatest police service that arguably ever existed. Unionism has choked down the integrity of its institutions as terrorists walk its corridors. Unionism has choked down its culture and identity, being repeatedly disrespected and demeaned. And now unionism is expected to choke down the dismantling of the union before our very eyes. I say unionism has choked down enough. We refuse refuse to choke down the undemocratic and unjust separation of our country. We refuse to choke down the Northern Ireland Protocol, which separates us from the rest of the United Kingdom. We say as one voice, we say as one people, we have had enough! Thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome Russell Watton, all the way from Coleraine here on the stage now, okay?
Most told us that boy, but anyway. It is an honour and a privilege to be invited to this Anti Protocol rally in this staunch loyalist town of Markethill. Thank you to the organisers, including my Orange Brown of Markethill District LOL number 10 and all the loyal orders. I come from the very north of the province, in the town of Sweet Coleraine on the banks of Bann, and represent the Coleraine Town Ward as a progressive unionist councillor in the Causeway Coast and Glens Borough Council. The present political crisis we find ourselves in can be laid at the feet of many players and blame apportioned accordingly. That will not help us get out of it. It is solutions we need. In 1912, the first action of our noble Lord Carson and Sir James Craig was to organise a unionist convention embracing all shades of loyalism. I use the word loyalism deliberately because Lord Carson's speeches are peppered with it. There was no distinction between loyalism and unionism in his mind, and there should be none now. The convention formulated an overall strategy, a political goal, and a course of action that every loyalist could buy into. Before the Ulster Volunteers Force was formed, before a gun or rifle was brought into Ireland, they knew exactly where they were going. Today we have no overall strategy. We have no united voice. We have too many whose main concern is party before country. I believe rallies like this have focused minds and have led to some coming together for the very simple reason that the pro-union people are crying out for it. Some have lectured me recently for supposedly threatening violence, ignoring the fact that Leo Varadkar got his border in the Irish Sea by the implied threat of violence, by going around the capitals of Europe showing the photos of the aftermath of an IRA attack on a border post in the early 70s. He and his pan-nationalist front used the threat of violence to get their way, and that fact should never be lost on us. There are many who blame the Good Friday Agreement. For me, that is now irrelevant, as the Good Friday Agreement, for all intents and purposes, is now null and void. Cross-community consent gone, east-west trade trashed, and pathetic north-south bodies that should be boycotted in their entirety. All of this done without unionist consent, and indeed the principle of consent stood on its head. Why are we in this position when in 1994 the IRA and the whole Republican movement was on its knees pleading for a ceasefire? While many don't like me saying this, particularly as a former UVF life sentence prisoner, the combined loyalist military command militarily helped to defeat modern Irish republicanism as did the brave members of the security forces. Read the figures for the early 90s, and I will tell you everything you need to know. So we won the war, and we lost the peace, but the situation is retrievable. Every time in our history, when we were united, we won. 1912 to 1914, 1920 to 1922, 1974, 1994. There's an election coming, and only those who are solidly against the protocol are worthy of a vote. Those who want to tinker around the edges and do not agree with the principles of unfettered access within the UK and no jurisdiction over our affairs by a foreign court. Anybody who thinks otherwise should be chased from your doors. I make no bones about it. We are not in a good place. But I remember a famous piece of graffiti on a wall of the Shankill Road in the early 70s, and I read, "We will not forsake the blue skies of Ulster for the grey mist of an Irish Republic." And neither we will, not now or not ever. We must imbue ourselves with the same spirit as the brave 13 apprentice boys who shut the gates when King James and all his rebel band came up to Bishop's Gate, and the cry was, and still remains, "No surrender!"
Sirs, Moms, ladies and gents, fellow unionists and fellow loyalists, can I take this opportunity to congratulate the organisers of tonight's rally. The sight of so many fellow unionists and loyalists here in Markethill who have braved the cold elements is absolutely breathtaking. It's absolutely freezing too. It is humbling this evening to stand amongst you, Grassroots unionists, the Grassroots unionists united in our opposition to the Northern Ireland Protocol. A protocol that is not only detrimental to our constitutional position within the United Kingdom, but also deeply affects our health, our finances and our well-being of each and every one of us. Sirs, Moms, ladies and gents, over the last 2 years our communities have stood together and supported our most vulnerable people and those in isolation, through supporting them, through providing groceries, hot meals and even more medical supplies, and indeed through myself working through the ACT initiative in Bridge has supported hundreds of those in isolation. Can I extend a massive thank you to each and every one of you for going out and supporting your local communities and providing civic leadership. Whilst you were out supporting your local communities, Number 10 was partying. Even ours, after announcing strict restrictions. This shows the complete incompetence of Number 10. The same incompetence shown during the Brexit negotiations with Sleet to the protocol. Bumbling Boris blunders time and time again. Tonight is the night for you, for your voices to be heard of grassroots unionism, not just here in Markethill, but right across the UK and Europe. I will, however, send a message to Boris Johnson and the Conservative and Unionist Party. Your actions are untoward, and this betrayal of the people of Northern Ireland flies in the face of unionism. Maybe it's time that you stop calling yourselves a Unionist Party. It is certainly clear to see this evening that opposition to the protocol is not just in a small minority, as some have tried to call it. The eyes of London, Brussels and Dublin are entirely focused here
on Markethill. Each and every one of you stand here with the same love and defence of your Britishness as your forefathers. Continue in your opposition. Stand up for our wee country and be proud to be from Ulster. No surrender. Thank you.
Just to close, okay, John Stevenson, okay.
Folks, I'm not going to keep it too long. It's been quite a long night so far. This is the final message this evening. So before we leave tonight, this final message is offered on behalf of the United Loyalist and Unionist coalitions. These coalitions were formed as a grassroots response to the imposition of the Northern Ireland Protocol and the Irish Sea border. Firstly, to the organisers and the speakers on the platform, thank you. Your determination to resist and to speak truth against the injustices imposed upon us is clear and unequivocal. Do not underestimate the power of your argument and never be afraid to speak it loud and clear. We're here tonight at the invitation of a group of young loyalists from Markethill. 1 year ago, they walked these streets in defiance of any authority, to make our stand against the protocol. Tonight, we stand beside them in our thousands. So the age-old question must be, why are we here? Are we here because we've had enough of political failure by those tasked to represent us? Is it because you see the injustice of laws imposed upon us but not on others? Is it because you oppose the removal of our equal rights as citizens of the United Kingdom? Are you here just to listen? Or are you here to commit yourself to our cause? The coalitions have organised across Ulster. We're calling you onto the streets, to the rallies, to the protests. We want you to make your voice heard and your opinion heard in every corridor of power and place of influence. The politicians have failed us. Their time has run out. They've put their selfish party interests before their country. No more. Unionism has been forced to change because of public opinion. It's no coincidence that currently border posts have been instructed to cease operation and the executive has been neutered by the resignation of the First Minister. It happened because it was forced upon them. Your voice, your opinion, your vote, your feet in the ground, all have consequences. We urge you to organise alongside us as one unionist people to help remove the Irish Sea border and restore the constitutional integrity of Northern Ireland within the UK. We are not slaves to be sold and we're not fools to be led. To the politicians seeking office, you're either with us or against us. There's no in between. There's no best of both worlds. If you seek our vote, you will publicly support and pursue the wishes of the unionist people. Not by words, by actions. Nothing else and no one else matters. The unionist people will accept no less. To the unionist people here tonight, I have one final thing to say on behalf of the coalitions. No surrender. Before we leave, one final thing we'll have to do, and we'll close with the national anthem.
Faithful.